I have listened with a lot of interest to all members who have spoken on the budget. And as others on this side of the House have done, I myself would like to share my views on this particular budget, also with regards to my ministry, but on general issues as well. Madam Speaker, it's quite interesting how many of our friends sitting on the other side, and even our friends sitting outside this parliament, they, strangely enough, forget about the context every time. Every time you hear them, when they have to criticize the budget, they adjust their observations in such a way as they carve out completely the last 10 years. Let me at least try to remind for the next few minutes our friends here, Madam Speaker, and outside, that the context and the background is of utmost importance. We cannot in any way cast it aside. So let us remember the situation as it was during the past 10 years. A government that the leader of the opposition formed part of that had no respect for democracy. That's fact. Le gouvernement dirigé par Feu Anirudh Jagnat et aussi le gouvernement dirigé par Pravin Jagnat n'était jamais à l'écoute de la population. N'oublions pas, Madame la Présidente, les grandes manifestations de Wakaf. N'oublions pas la manifestation du peuple et le dégoût de la population quand il s'agissait de l'affaire Papa Piti. Il n'est pas normal, alors, Madame la Présidente, que ceux qui, à un certain moment, critiquaient la position du gouvernement MSM sur Papa Piti ou sur Wakashio, ou la déroute totale en ce qui concerne le respect des droits démocratiques and the destruction of human rights, il n'est pas possible, Madame la Présidente, qu'aujourd'hui, ces mêmes personnes, aujourd'hui, frottent leurs épaules à ces mêmes dictateurs. Il n'est pas normal et je ne comprends pas comment je vois des alliances se former avec des fossoyeurs du passé. Ce n'est pas quelque chose que je comprends. À l'époque, quand le peuple est descendu et a crié haut et fort leur désapprobation pour l'affaire Wakashio, qu'est-ce que le gouvernement Jagnat a fait? Cela. Go to hell, he said. Walk, walk. We are not going to be interested. We'll not budge. We are firm. We are going to continue. They did not listen to the people. What happened when people said, bring back democracy, bring back human rights? Let us at least have the aspects of our constitution not flouted, not violated. What did they do? Go to hell. This is what was happening. We had promised that we would listen to the people. Whenever they had something to say, we would listen up. We would hear and we would take action whenever we found that what they were saying was relevant. Because they are the ones who brought us here. That was the change we promised. They are the ones who brought us here, elected us on a promise of change. Now, the first opportunity that we have now to show that we are different from the past, we've just had it. The Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister heard, listened, paid attention, consulted on the proposals, and he heard the people, he heard his ministers, he heard his partners. Then he took time to consider, and he decided to say, okay, I will go along with what the people have said. But there are consequences, there are risks. The difference in that approach, Madam Speaker, is that he did not decide to dictate, even though he reminded us of the consequences. He did not decide to impose and go against what the people had said. He heard, he showed he has a heart and decided to act, as the former Prime Minister did not have even the ability to act. The former Prime Minister never listened. This Prime Minister listens. So when he acts in that way, still the opposition find it problematic. If this is not political hypocrisy, what is it? So I'd like, therefore, to say congratulations to the Prime Minister. Not only for the courage he has shown, because we are living difficult times. We are living difficult times, and I will show it in a few minutes. Difficult times. I'll say congratulations to the Honourable Prime Minister because he has had the courage to do what many would have run away from. He has had the courage. Let me talk about the last decade of the MSM. Many of my friends have, but let me talk about it. You see, I've tried to carry out a simple calculation, Madam Speaker. A calculation to understand what has the management of the MSM in the past 10 years done to this country and whether it has impacted in any way our ability to continue with the BRP as we knew it. I wanted to make a correlation between the two. Have the MSM acted in such a negligent, criminally negligent manner that has created a situation where it has reduced our marge de manœuvre with regards to the BRP? And the facts and the figures are there. Madam Speaker, we are not here to face a system. It is a system, in fact, which we're facing, a system that the MSM have put in place. Not a series of scandals, but a very well thought out system. And the pattern of losses that are documented, Madam Speaker, constitutes systemic state capture. Not isolated mismanagement, Madam Speaker. Discrete affairs across procurement, banking, sovereign investment, parastatal management, share recurring intermediaries, recurring law firms, recurring beneficiaries, recurring methods of evasion. Madam Speaker, how can we forget, and maybe we start, commençons par le commencement. My good friend, the Minister of Environment, referred to the BAI bailout. I haven't forgotten those who were in the MSM government, and the MSM government led by Sanirud Jagnat. Do we forget those who were standing there and telling the people it will not cost a penny de l'argent de la population? Don't we remember who those ministers were? Did they not come and say it in the eyes of the people? It would not cost a penny. L'argent du peuple ne va pas être utilisé dans ce qu'on décide. It was a political vendetta. Who? Oh. Who? Oh. 17.9 billion confirmed injected in the BAI NPF matter. The BAI Bank of Mauritius Brahma matter. Wasn't this an engineered crush by the former government? And who were the ministers then who stood up and said, and looked at the people in their eyes and said, this will not cost the people a penny? But then, how much did it cost? 3.5 billion rupees, confirmed. BAI Mobank injection, as at date, I may be wrong, I speak under the correction of the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, and the Junior Minister. As at date, 5.2 billion has been injected in Mobank. What about the matter that is pending? Rawat versus for the BAI before Mauritian courts. 100 billion still pending contingent liability. What about Britam Kenya shares? The Britam Kenya shares sold, and the investigation in Kenya, Madam Speaker, and together with the investigation in Mauritius, what did it show? There is some common denominator there, that it was sold for a minimum of 1.5 billion rupees less to 2 billion rupees less. Where did that money go? Who were the ministers responsible? Who were the ones who were in charge of the country then, if I'm not mistaken? Was the leader of the opposition among them? Yeah. Was he not among that team? He was. Was he not the ones who stood there shoulder to shoulder in one rank and stood there and said, we stand collectively behind this massacre? Was it not them? Can I rub shoulders with people like that? No. In the name of what? Can I even contemplate an alliance with such people who have destroyed this country? And they take the moral horse, the high horse, and say, oh, well, we are the better people. I'll come to the leader of the MSM in a minute. Betamax Privy Council, 5.68 billion. What about the resignation or literally kicked out the former Deputy Prime Minister Colin Davelu on the Saint-Louis Gate matter, 4.3 billion. What about Air Mauritius bailout, as you rightly said, 12 billion. What about the airports holding goodwill overvaluation of 17 billion? What about the MIC impairment? 5.4 billion. What about the MIC convertible loss? 3.7 billion. What about blackback and blister? What about Molnupiravir? What about Wakaf damage of around 2.8 billion? What about the hidden debt reclassification of 30 billion? What about the CT Power matter that is still pending before courts? 30 billion. What about the Rawat arbitration matter? As I've said, case court still pending. What about the STC white oil contract being investigated by the FCC? What about the heritage city? We've forgotten about the Bollywood dancers that were supposed to come here and dance us away into the horizon. We've forgotten? Oh, what about the COVID emergency procurement irregularities? What about Mobank recurring recapitalization? What about BAI special administrators and conservators? What about the SBM toxic loans of around 14 billion? Madam Speaker, please. You know, and that is the background. The background that the leader of the opposition and his future allies were contemplating to rub the shoulders against. Just simply, they put a mark on it and say it didn't happen. You know what? Selective memory. We know that the people of Mauritius are hurting. We know that the people of Mauritius are impatient. We know that the people of this country want change. We know, but we can't forget, can we? How can we forget? Madam Speaker, I have calculated and we have reached the losses expressed over the last decade of this criminal management of the MSM. 185 billion. Here again, 185 billion thrown away. They tell us to forget about it. They tell us it didn't happen. And the people today are angry because they are not being arrested as fast as they took the money away. But we cannot go against what law says. We have to follow the law because otherwise they're going to escape through the cracks. Do you know what it represents, 185 billion, Madam Speaker? It represents 40 months of BOP. I did the correlation. 40 mois de pension que la gestion criminelle du MSM a fait qu'on a perdu. 40 mois, 3 ans, point 3 mois. Volatilisé. Et le leader du MSM et le leader de l'opposition et ses acolytes viennent et nous dire, mais vous faites quoi de cela? Je vous dis ce que je fais de ça. 40, it's not a coincidence, is it? Hein? Alibaba and the 40 thieves. Does it? Is it a coincidence? And I wonder what Abjad Khan would say in Shule. Would it? Should I? And you know what really hurts, Madam Speaker, is that those people, they talk as though they've done nothing wrong. They've done everything right. And in fact, for them, it's totally normal to have dévalisé ce pays. Totally normal. And they're going to come forward here and they're so desperate to get back to power, to give them another No, you know what? They're so desperate that, you know, allons au moins rigoler. Hein? Allons rigoler. You see, the leader of the opposition was so desperate, he's so desperate to try to mark political points. Do you know how many people suffer from diabetes here? The Honorable Minister of Health will tell us. Over 200,000, approximately more than 20% of the adult population suffer from diabetes. The global average is 10%. Plus de 200 000 personnes qui souffrent du diabète, le double de la moyenne mondiale. Et depuis 2022, l'OMC dit qu'on doit introduire ce qu'on appelle sin taxes. I don't mean the sins of the opposition. I mean other sin taxes. True it is, they have to be taxed for their sins. At least we could recoup the 186 billion. But let us do that another day. You know, the responsibility, the fiscal responsibility legislation will come. But then, that opposition, they laugh about sugar content of coconut. They laughed about my coconuts. Well, not my coconuts. At least it's a question of size. They laughed about my sugary coconuts and they laughed about your goyab deshini. You know? How desperate are they? Do you realize, Madam Speaker, it shows that they're totally disconnected. They're disconnected with reality. And they sell lies to the people. You see how they kept it quiet? Do you know that in our supermarkets, on the shelves, there are coconut juices, coconut water. Do you know that each of those coconut waters on the shelves contains 27 grams of sugar per can? Moi, fais commission, moi, pas fait Jacques reste à casa, total 5 minutes. Moi, la commission, moi, pas besoin de bodyguard, moi, toi.
Come back to your speech.
Yes, I should not say it.
It was interesting.
So what I'm saying, 27 grams per can. So what does the leader of the opposition say? What does the leader of the MSM say? Does he forget that as from 2022-2023, his government imposed sin tax, not on themselves, but on the sugar content? Does he forget about that? Then he didn't laugh. He imposed a tax on alcohol. He didn't find anything to say about it. He imposed taxes on plastic. He didn't have anything to say about it. How hypocritical can you be? How can you sell such boba, such lies, such inexactitude? How can you do this in the name of morality? This country is going where with people like that at the helm? Where are we going? 27 grams. I challenge that leader of the opposition. Tell people of this country that at least you did not tell them the total truth when you were laughing about my sweet coconuts. Because I care about those who lose their toes, who lose their limbs, who lose their eyesight, and who have cardiac problems because of diabetes. I do not do politics about it. I do not do what you do with your former partner, Mr. Badin. I want this country to at least survive, and a sin tax is important. Madam Speaker.
Yes, please come to your...
Oh, but this is all about
it's all right.
It is there.
Don't worry, I'm diabetic, so I understand. But come back to your ministry, perhaps.
I can assure you I was there in my mind. I'll share it with you in a minute. Let me say something else, Madam Speaker. You see, when you face people avec autant de démagogie, you are totally right, Madam Speaker. We have to come to the real world. The real world that you meet people who do not sell lies in order to profit from same, but who take courageous decisions. And I'd like to tell you once again, before I embark upon the elements of my ministry, that this Prime Minister has the courage as a leader, as a statesman, to take these courageous decisions, and I congratulate him for that. This is the one who's leading the country. Now, Madam Speaker, to come back to housing. In this current financial year, well, 2026-2027, we will be delivering over 5,200 houses. But I am not happy with the model that we have adopted, because this model, in fact, is dépassé, in my view. I have had opportunities of discussing with the Honorable Prime Minister and my cabinet colleagues, the Ministry of Finance, the financial secretary, and I help that team for all their help, together with the Social Security and the Deputy Prime Minister as well, because we are working as one team to find solutions. There is the need, therefore, to have not only social housing, because another category of citizens are the forgotten ones. Ceux qui sont les oubliés dans l'équation. Those who earn more than 48,000 rupees. Those who earn and are youngsters who don't have homes and who cannot take a loan because of the high prices of property, the affordable homes. So I've discussed with the Ministry of Finance, as I've said, and yes, we are embarking upon a new way of looking at things. For social housing, we are going to ensure that there are sites and services that also come back on the equation. We want to ensure, and the discussions are ongoing, we haven't finalized it, discussions are ongoing with the Ministry of Finance in order where we can identify sites for sites and services, try our best to see how we could give them a seed money, if I am to say, for example, $1 million, that could help them to build their homes, but would also allow them to take a loan for, let's say, 2 or 3 million. So that be la participation de la personne qui doit construire la maison. This is the difference in approach that we want to bring. Secondly, for affordable housing, public-private partnership. Government is going to encourage those who are in the private sector to bring in the capital that is required. We're going to give them the land for affordable housing, but à la condition that they will sell this to people at a better price, at a more competitive price, at an accessible price, and will allow those youngsters in the middle income, affordable homes, that they will become owners of proper homes as well, because they have been forgotten for too long. I have discussed as well with the Ministry of Finance, but the discussions are ongoing, how we could ensure that those youngsters, in order for promoters to bring in their capital, that them some sort of fiscal advantage is given in order to make it also beneficial for them as well, otherwise they would not bring their capital. If the former government for smart cities have managed to give tax incentives, we have to be able to give tax incentives for those who do not have a home. This is the important element. Now, with regards to smart cities, Madam Speaker, it's important to remember that there was a commitment in the smart city certificate that they had to build affordable homes. But there has been no proper monitoring by the former government. There's been no proper monitoring by those who form part of cabinet then. But we are going to sit down with all those smart city certificate holders to ensure that the commitment to build affordable homes as well is there. This is our promise, and this is what we're going to do. We are having ongoing discussions with regards to asbestos in homes. For the first time ever, we are not here to find half-baked solutions. We are here to find solutions that will really make things change. So this is what will happen. We're going to continue. We'll have the statistics from Statistics Mauritius that's completed. We have the laboratory reports from London that have come in, and we will be calling another meeting, an interministerial meeting with the Ministry of Finance in order to see how we could go for new policies such as exchange of land or give them social housing that we're building, what we will compensate them. So this is ongoing. With regards to pig breeders, this is not within the mandate of my ministry, but I'm chairing the interministerial committee. And I must say, and I'd like to thank the Honourable Junior Minister David as well, who forms part of that committee, and all other ministers, because they, there you are, because, sorry, yes, and I will not forget all the inputs and suggestions. I thank both my colleagues, ministers who are here next to me, because they have been, without them, I don't think we would have managed to really find the direction that we will find, but I will be making a statement on that soon in the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, there is something that has come up in recent past, and I must talk about it. Now, as Minister responsible for housing and land, all pas géométriques, all domaine public, maritime, is under the guardianship of my ministry. We are guardians of this land. And for many, many years, a lot of those who own leases, ceux qui ont des baux sur les campements sites or industrial lease, have been under the wrong impression, and I'd like to set records straight, they've been under the wrong impression that because they lease the land that is sur le littoral, en pas géométrique, domaine public, they have exclusive use of the land that is the strip between the high water mark and the building line. I have myself walked on the beaches of this country. Madam Speaker, the white sand around our island, it is an asset for this country. Our forefathers have come from many continents. Our forefathers have crossed those white beaches when entering firm ground. It is in our DNA. It is a domaine public that belongs to Mauritians. And this is something that has to be underlined, and it has to remain for Mauritians. For many years, there's been this wrong interpretation of the law, believing that because they are lessees, they have exclusive use over that strip of land between the building line and the high water mark. That is not true. And I have issued a communiqué only yesterday. I've had representations pouring in because hotel owners, campement site owners, and members of the public would like things to be put in a structured manner. I have sent also a note to the Attorney General, whereby I have requested advice on the advisability of coming up with 2 regulations in order to clarify matters. But let me here take advantage of this opportunity, because it is important at this time to clarify matters. Now, there needs to be the public that lives side by side, the coexisting rights of the public and the campement site owners and hotel site owners. There is a necessity to make a distinction between usage commun and usage privatif. The members of the public have to know this, and campement site owners and hotel owners have to know that. It cannot include the use by ordinary public. It cannot include camping, because this would be privatif. It cannot include coming up and setting up camp to carry out a barbecue. That would be usage privatif. It cannot mean erection of tents, loud music. And by the way, on loud music, I have been speaking to my friends in government. Even on public beaches, we have to show responsibility. Because we cannot go to public beaches and have 20 people playing 20 different music. This is unacceptable. And it is high time, because the lack of respect that they're shown to the police as well, unacceptable. So I totally agree with my friend who is responsible for the public beaches and the beach authority, through the beach authority, that there needs to be some order there. You cannot accept that. So just like you cannot have loud music and barbecue wherever you want on a public beach, there needs to be discipline, even more so when it concerns leases that exist on pas géométrique and domaine public, where there are campement site owners and hotel operators as well. Because let's not forget, yes, they pay us rent for it, they pay the state rent, but on that part of the land, they do not have the exclusive use and have no right to exclude Mauritians. But I call upon the citizens of this country, if I've taken it upon myself, for the first time in a long time, to take and underline the right legal position, to ensure that no one can exclude Mauritians from that strip, because I myself have been excluded from that strip. Oh yes. I went to visit in the north of the island, and a lady sitting down, having a nice bronzage, she said to me, qu'est-ce que vous faites chez moi? Huh? And I introduced myself as the Minister of Housing and Land, and she said, je répète, qu'est-ce que vous faites chez moi? And I was beyond the high water mark and before the building line, and I said, Madame, s'il vous plaît, votre chien. And she said, mon chien, it's home, chez lui. Vous n'êtes pas là, chez vous. So I said, Madame, je vous promets, je vais m'occuper de vous. Because I think it would be wrong for me to leave people who are unaware of the law in ignorance. Nemo sensetur ignorare legem. Nul n'est censé ignorer la loi. But then again, it is important, at least for me, to remind them. That's my duty to all citizens of this country. But with that right comes responsibility as well. Just like it is not okay for campement site owners to put barrage in terms of ropes, in terms of signs, But it is not also right for Mauritians or non-Mauritians, non-citizens to go there and make a mess and create disorder. Il faut savoir vivre ensemble. This is what I'm asking the people to do. The great majority of Mauritians today feel liberated because of this, having underlined what the rights are. But I'm asking them, make things easy for everyone. Don't make things difficult. Make it easy. Let us live together in one peaceful country. Madam Speaker, I think it is very important for me to underline an issue which has been going on. Just like Honorable Amir Miak spoke about it on the issue of Wakaf. Today is Friday and I've seen certain sermons that have been going on about supposedly the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance is trying to interfere into the operation of Wakaf. Let me clearly say what it is. I would not stand by and allow any interfering in Wakaf. Neither would any of my colleagues here. None of my colleagues, not even the Prime Minister, would stand for it. The budget of 26-2027, through Section 75 of the Annex, does propose 7 amendments to the Wakaf Act. It does. The amendments establish comprehensive AML-CFT oversight framework, including beneficial ownership transparency, information sharing with the Financial Crimes Commission, mandatory record keeping, and disciplinary powers over Wakaf managers. The amendments do not transfer ownership or Wakaf property to the state, do not authorize expropriation, do not dissolve Wakafs, do not direct the religious purposes of any Wakaf. They do, however, significantly expand the state's regulatory oversight of Wakaf. Regulatory oversight, that's different. And it is important, in line with FATF recommendation number 8. We have to be in line with those international standards. Malaysia has done it. And they've gone even further in terms of government oversight. Stringent oversight. Singapore has gone even further. Malaysia is an example. But here, there is a degree of flexibility, a total independence of the Wakaf board, the Wakaf members, and the Wakaf property. Kadwan is not controlling. So therefore, I'd like to reassure members on this. Let me also finish on something else. When the former Deputy Prime Minister was here, there were certain committees that were going on with regards to the Wakaf legislation, and we have given the responsibility to a very well-versed in this with Honorable Yutim, who has legal expertise on the matter, which we bow to, and he is working on the possibility of, and he is well advanced in there, on revamping the Wakaf legislation in terms of internationalization of the Wakaf laws and making it an outil which will become a pilier économique as well, in certain manner speaking. And we will be meeting together for that. But another legislation that we are also working on is the Islamic Cultural Center ICC Act, why? Because recently our government, through the efforts of our government, the Prime Minister and our ambassador in Saudi Arabia, has ensured that with our Foreign Affairs Minister, when I'm very grateful to you, that we get the $6 million which had been promised, but we have made it happen. It didn't stay there as an idea, and we have made it happen. And I am very thankful to all my colleagues for it, but more specifically, the Honorable Prime Minister. But in order for it to come, we'll need also to ensure that the law is amended in order for it to be managed properly. So that is why I can say that there are going to be changes with regards to that. On a concluding note, let me say the following. Yesterday, I have had a meeting, there are 2 points. Yesterday, I had a meeting with 32 operators of the Mauritius port area. I had a meeting with the 32 operators, companies, energy companies, oil companies, and I have proposed to them regeneration of the land belonging to the Mauritius Port Authority with the consent of the Mauritius Port Authority next to Terrain Football Kaya in Rochebois. I have also proposed to them next to Stade 1er Février, Gymnase 1er Février, revamping of that area. But I have knocked at their door in order to help us financially to revamp those 2 areas. And I'm happy to say that they have responded very positively. I will be knocking at the door of the Prime Minister, obviously, in order to see whether we could allow them to direct their money to help that area of Rochebois to revamp the place where they make millions and billions, and at least to share it with the members, the inhabitants of Rojbois, in terms of facilities, that any fiscal alleviation and incentives in order to help them. And lastly, let me say, I'm very happy to note as well that the Gaddafi Square in our constituency, the Ministry of Finance has given us the funds in order to appoint a transaction advisor, because this will be a project, public-private partnership project, to revamp the whole market, to revamp this building, to have floors. It will be a mixed-use project with floors as well for affordable housing for citizens of this country. So this whole area is going to be modernized, and I thank the Honourable Prime Minister for having made funds available to appoint this transaction advisor. So, Madam Speaker, let me conclude by saying that I've listened very carefully to the former Deputy Prime Minister, just like I've listened to all others. We should not lose hope, depending on where we sit on this side or the other. It cannot depend on that. If we believe in the difficulty that there existed last year, as the Deputy Prime Minister had expatiated on in his address last year in Parliament, that is truth. It doesn't change depending where you are. Let us also say that we are making the efforts with regards to inflation and the prices of commodities. We are bringing changes. I was the first, as leader of the opposition at one point, to have raised this issue of parallel import. I raised it in this House as leader of the opposition, and I'm happy that not only have I raised it when we were in the opposition, not only did we face the opposition of the MSM, who found it to be wrong. The minister then, I remember Doreen Chakori, did not even understand what parallel meant, let alone import. But then again, we are bringing it, and this parallel import changes in the legislation is going to touch medication, it's going to touch spare parts, it's going to go everywhere to ensure that there's competition, but there is fair competition. And in fact, what the Honourable former Deputy Prime Minister had said, I can reassure him that all those are taken into consideration, and we will ensure that it is taken to conclusion and we will implement it. So let me finish, therefore, this time really finish by saying congratulations, Prime Minister. It takes a lot of guts and that you have managed to keep your calm in spite of all these difficulties. I must say that even though I'm in my 5th mandate, I keep learning, and I keep learning a lot from you, sir. So thank you very much.